Next, we are going to look at surveying our butterflies. So here is a shot of our data sheets. The front data sheet is our butterfly data sheet. It is the walk out. Our back data sheet is the floral assessment, habitat assessment, and management and landscape assessment. It is our walk back to the original start point. So this is looking for butterflies. This is looking for everything else. We're going to zoom in here and go through all of these first little bits. So I'm going to assign you a site name and number. I need that to be exactly the same as I send you. Please write it exact. It makes my life so much easier. Your name, your email, and the survey date. Here is where we record our wind, temp, and cloud cover. If I just use like my phone's weather app, as soon as I get to my site, I look up these things. I check the weather before I go to make sure I'm going to be in prescription, but I don't actually write anything down until I am leaving my car at the earliest. If you have an app that has cloud cover, you can use that. Do at least look up and make sure that the cloud cover they give you is reasonable for your start time. If it says you have 80% clouds and you see nothing but blue skies, don't write that down. That's the same for any of this. If you feel that the wind is like not blowing at all and it says it's like 16 mile an hour where you're at, you can adjust that, but be very sparing when you do that. Make sure these need to be right, basically. So don't fudge it so that you can survey. Plan so that you can survey. Did you attend the training? Yes, you're here. You're listening to me right now. You attended the training. I am a biologist. If you are paid to do these surveys and have the training, like schooling, you are a biologist. If not, volunteer. If you're questioning it, just write volunteer. I'm not sure if I'm going to use this line for anything, but most of you, if not all, are probably just volunteers unless you are a Game and Parks employee. Did you use, oh, sorry. When was the last time you practiced your estimation? And by practice, I do mean got within 10%. We'll get into that in a little bit, but when was the last time you succeeded at your estimation practice? And then given points used, we'll get into this a little heavier, but since we selected no adjusted, we will need to see what you wrote down. Had you just used the points you were given, you wouldn't need to write anything here. But since we picked no adjusted, we need to write in the points that we're using. Oh, and then this would be my first visit to this site this year. You could have 2. If you get in real crazy, you could get up to like 4 if you timed it perfect. 2 is what we're looking for, but I will not say no to anything extra you do. So now we are going to get to our sites. Please just watch my screen. You can try this with your own phone later. I will likely say lat and long here. That is latitude and longitude. I'm just not going to break myself probably this time. So lat and long, latitude and longitude. If this is confusing to you, this will be recorded. You can go back and watch it multiple times slowly. So please just watch and follow along with your eyes and not your fingers. You will, when I give you points, they will be in an Excel sheet looking something like this. One of you might find these very familiar because these are your sites from last year. So if you are not on if you don't click on this, you're not going to see anything up here. But if you click on your box, it will come up with the full text. So you're not going to write Twin O, you're going to write Twin Oaks WMA 13. Yeah, so if we want to see this, we need to click on it to see the full full decimals places that we're looking for. So the easiest way would just be to double click these lines to increase the size of everything. I will try to do this before I send it to you, but I have a lot of these to do and I might just forget on some of them. So I'm showing you here. So if you do that, if you double click on the lines in between Excel columns, it expands it to the greatest extent. So now we can see not only Twin Oaks WMA 13, but Hickory Ridge WMA 139. And it gives us our full latitude, whereas before it was only 5 decimal points. 5 decimal points would probably be sufficient, but I would prefer you go to 6 just to be safe, but at least get 5 decimal points in. You can see by dropping decimal points, you really increase what or decrease your precision. So yeah, you can easily be on the wrong side of a city if you're just using to 1/10 of a degree. But this usually gets you within a tree or within an individual person if you're going to go lower. I learned this at our in-person training, but you will need a Google account to save your points in Google Maps. If you have another GPS system that you like to use, that's fine. I don't care. I am going to talk through Google Maps. Google Maps is what I use. I like how it is all set up and saves. It also interfaces with your Google account so that you can save something on Google Maps on the computer and it will show up on your phone, which is so nice. I started these surveys by typing them individually into my phone, and then I saved one on my computer accidentally and it showed up and I was like, oh, this is the best thing I've done this week for sure. So yeah, I really like Google Maps. Your account, if you have an account, you will have your face or a symbol or something up here by the search. Okay, the first thing I do when my map is set out like a map is change it so that it is no longer a map, it is an aerial image. So I click on this, I go in, it's currently in default, I change it to satellite, and now I can actually see what's going on, which is very important to me. Google Maps is good enough that you can see individual trees and check yourself and make sure you're in the right spot, which I highly encourage you to do. When you're putting your points in, you can type them into Google Maps. If you want to do it on your computer, that is also fine. I'm going to show you how to do it with just your phone. So you type in the GPS point. I think you do need a comma here, but apparently this worked when I put it in. So that will drop a point out in space. Wherever your point is should be correct. You then click label. It'll pull up your label. You can call it whatever it is you got named, whatever this thing's name is. I called this start one, but it might be Hickory Oaks, whatever the number was, 57. Click done, that's important. And then it will be labeled, but as long as you have things up here, it won't say the label on your map. You have to click out of that to get to the, for it to say start one. So now I have nothing here, but I have start one on my page. We're going to repeat that process for the next point. Type it in, hit label, and 1. We do have to click out again, and then we will have our points on our map. There is nothing you will physically see here. It is all GPS on your phone. You will have to walk from this point to this point using your phone. Part of why I like Google Maps is it makes points easy to see even when you like really scroll out. So at least on your phone, you can scroll all the way out, and your save points you can see from like a state view, which is kind of neat. Yes, you are walking between these points. You are not walking the path that Google sets out for you. There is no need to start or like go, like Google go to the point. You are just physically walking from one spot to another. Do not do this. Just walk the straight line between these sites. Not this, definitely this. There are times when you would have to detour. If it's just a short step out of the way, that's fine. If you need to go more than 5 meters around something, or you can't get through a hedgerow or something, there are some situations we're going to cover here. So if you have to go 5 meters around something, the transect should be cut short if the transect is over 100 meters long. So here we've got like a river here, and we've got like 150 meters in and hit our river. We're not getting to the end point. We're going to circle no adjusted and then record the correct coordinates. Include the reason for cutting the transect short in the notes section. Was it deep water? What's it, dense vegetation? Whatever your reasoning, please record that. If you have to go around something more than 5 meters, the transect should switch the start and end points to see if the transect can be longer than 100 meters from the other direction. You are allowed to start your endpoint at the end. I don't care. If you use your endpoint to start, you're just going to circle yes reversed, assuming it is the full length. For this example specifically, we would do no adjusted. We would start at the endpoint. We would record that endpoint as our start point. We are physically starting here, even though it was labeled end. We're walking to this new endpoint, which we are going to write in our end lat. So this is whatever actually happened. And then do include the reason for why you did it the way you did. Sometimes you can't get to either point, or there's trees or something on either end. Sometimes we got to exclude them. This would be a good example of when to exclude a site. So we've got 2 little lakes or rivers or whatever. Here, we can't get between them. We are going to exclude them, and we will just circle exclude. We do not need to write in any lat or long because we don't have anywhere we're actually going because we're never coming back. Oh, if you do no adjusted and need to do GPS points, if your start or end point, is one of those given points like this, if you used end, you don't have to get you don't have to take a new reading for end. But if it was this star that you are now ending at, that you're actually going to write down, you will need to record that either with Google Maps or with My GPS Coordinates, which is an app. The only thing that this app does is tell you where you are on planet Earth right now. It works on airplane mode. It only uses your GPS. It does take a few minutes, not minutes, seconds, probably 30 seconds to like boot up and triangulate where you actually are. Do not record your latitude or longitude when the accuracy is in the red. We're hoping for like less than 20 feet of wiggle room here. So it will tell you your accuracy. Wait till it stops getting smaller and then record that. Do we have any questions there?
So you might go over this here shortly, but butterfly start and finish times, does that exclude vegetation analysis time?
True, that is just the walk on the butterfly transect. So I start, I've got all my pre-stuff done. I write my start time. I walk and look for butterflies. I get to the end of my transect. I write down my end time, and then I do the rest of the survey on the backside.